Brady under pressure, escapes the sack, launching one for the end zone. It's a jump ball and it's incomplete. And Gronk was there. And
if I could, I'd like to dedicate this.
Congratulations, Jeffrey.
Okay.
Let's bring in.
What? I say anything about the Super Bowl? What, this could be a new thing or something on this channel? If the Eagles win, I have to explain myself? Hello and welcome. Tonight, we will look into all the forms of economics presented through a fine piece of cinematic excellence. Tonight, we will present to you the Black Panther. That's a Florida Panther. So let's get into our review.
Okay, let's get this PowerPoint presentation started. The good points of this film. The visuals, when done right, are beyond excellent. The car chase in the beginning, which by the way is right here, it's one of the best car chase scenes I've seen in a long time. The visuals, when done right, are excellent. And the acting is superb. Let's go through the list, shall we? Excellent. Very excellent. Once again, excellent. I gotta admit, those gloves are awesome. Also a great performance. I would love it if this guy was my spirit animal. He commanded authority. Excellent.
Okay, it's Chadwick Boseman. The guy can act his way completely out of a box. This guy has the charisma that would make James Bond look very dull. He can demonstrate in any role he's ever played, whether it's being Jackie Robinson, James Brown, the Black Panther from Captain America Civil War, and tonight he was no different. Often displaying his charisma in many different ways. I especially like the casino scene. Kind of weird because I didn't like the casino scene in Star Wars, but that's another discussion. This single-handedly showed you that yes, he could be a better James Bond than James Bond.
Oh, Andy Serkis. This is our first villain we come into contact, and wow, does he put off a great performance. This guy is basically stealing any scene he is in. And I cannot really define anything else to describe him as. His grin basically chews up the scenery like I've never seen a lot of actors. Here's the funny part. His last bunch of roles we've seen him, he's basically in CGI makeup. Here, nope, that's his real face. I tell you one thing, he really makes up for Snoke.
Okay, I'm going to cut the act. Michael B. Jordan is the best thing in this film. And probably the best villain Marvel has ever given us. Period. Marvel really went out of its way to develop this character, and they picked the right actor. I know he was in a terrible Marvel film, and apparently anybody who's ever played Johnny Storm has played a better Marvel role later in his career. I feel bad that Michael B. Jordan has that on his resume. But oh my, he really comes out in this film. His acting talents, everything was just spot on. Phenomenal about this guy. The villain was extremely well developed. You can understand everything, every little motive about him. Michael B. Jordan's performance was single-handedly carried this film. I thought this film was very average until his introduction. And wow, did that really change everything. It's kind of weird because, you know, you'd think Andy Serkis was the villain of this whole film, but nope. Spoiler, he kills him. And then he tries to take over the throne. And you can understand why he would feel this way. To me, he's also in the best and probably the most dramatic scene Marvel Studios has ever shown. He was having a bit of a vision where he goes back in time to see his father, who was unfortunately killed off by the previous king. Another spoiler. And to me, it's probably one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen in a superhero film. I mean, you know, it almost put me to tears. It's that good.
Okay, time to get to the cons of this film. CGI in this movie can at times be very horrendous. I'm really telling you, rather horrendous. Remember the prairie dog scene from Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull? Oh, the rhinoceroses here look... I said, would definitely make that seem like the Mona Lisa in comparison. The CGI backgrounds are horrific. Like, the main city looks like an amalgamation of the prequels from Star Wars, mainly Coruscant and Naboo. Like, you can literally see buildings that I'm showing you right now that are in that city. There are a couple of named actors, who I'll be getting to in just a moment, who are just phoning it in. And Hollywood logic simply trumps the basic laws of nature. Okay, the first person who's basically phoning it in. Yeah, Forrest Whitaker makes it look like he's just looking for a paycheck here. It's obvious he's not really into this role. But he's not even close to being the worst actor in this film. And there's Martin Freeman. Oh yeah, Bilbo Baggins really puts in a terrible performance here. I mean, granted, he's tremendously miscast. He's supposed to be a American CIA agent, but often his American accent just breaks mostly during mid-sentence. Do not take a drinking game on how many times he breaks his American accent, especially with hard liquor. You will die of liquor poisoning. He just seems like he's written pretty badly, but then again, this is Martin Freeman. He's just basically playing another Martin Freeman role, and just seems like you can see right here, it almost looks like I'm holding his paycheck on right behind the camera. We do have some good news, though. We finally got the reunion between Bilbo Baggins and Gollum. It would have been really funny, though, if Andy Serkis chewing out the scenery, if he said, "Pop quiz, hotshot. Guess what's in my pocket?" Let's look into the laws of science in this film. Vibranium. It's extremely strong. It can stop bullets, explosions. It virtually can do whatever it wants. It's strong enough that it'll survive explosions and high-caliber button shots, yet thin enough it can be used on flying machines. It's also heavily magnetic. Yeah, I know if Eric Lynchier went here, he'd basically control this country. Economics? What economics? It's Hollywood economics. They don't give a rat's ass about economics. Like, the film goes into a great deal trying to show how Wakanda is this technologically rich superpower, but yet never shows them like actually trading the vibranium. In fact, if anything, they're hoarding the vibranium. You know, just because you have a resource doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be rich. Venezuela has the largest reserve of oil on Earth. And yet people are eating their pets just to survive. Wow. This country is something else. First off, there's no democracy. It's basically run by warlord families. And the king is basically the person who could beat the living crap out of the other warlord family members. The strongest will be the king. There is no assembly. The king just basically makes a decree, and that's it. It's law. And throughout the years, it's basically shown. First off, they have massive firepower. They can easily take out a European country. But yet in the 1800s, and ironically, the villain even brings it up. Just let it happen. Remember when all the Africans were taken as slaves? Well, they just simply turned to the camera and, "No, no, 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 no. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything." Remember when the Africa was being looted and pillaged by imperialists? They're going, no, 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 oh no, we gotta hide. Nope, we don't see anything, we don't hear anything. You know, it's funny because even the villain flat out says that you had the firepower to simply stop all this right then and there. It got to the point where even I was rooting for the villain. And the villain was Black Hitler. The country loves to hoard its technology. I mean, you know, think about all the advancements of man in the last century. You know, going to the moon. This country probably has the ability to go to Alpha Centauri. It just hoards it to itself. The biggest sin is the medicine. I mean, these guys have figured a cure out for epilepsy and quadriplegic. Yeah, Martin Freeman gets shot to the spine. For all intents and purposes, if he's not dead, he should never walk again. No, they have a cure for that. And don't forget, what's one of the big crises right now going on in Africa? AIDS. Yeah, this country probably has a cure for AIDS and simply just keeping it to themselves. Yeah, what great neighbors.
Now, in conclusion, it is weird that the Marvel film was more like Star Wars, and the last Star Wars film was more like a Marvel film. But this film has some excellent dramatic scenes. It is single-handedly carried by an excellent cast who knew exactly how to act. Especially how terrible some of the dialogue was. Just some of the leaps of logic. Even the direction was relatively hindered this film. And the CGI wasn't exactly great either. But the villain in this was excellent. This is the best villain I've seen on camera since Heath Ledger played the Joker back in 2008. So now I have to figure in a lot. As I said, this film is not the worst Marvel film I've seen. The Iron Man sequels seem to have that all sewed up. This is not one of the better scenes of Marvel have presented in recent years. However, it's not really exactly even middle of the road either. I'm going to have to give this kind of a BB+. Really between the two grades. As you see Tinkerbell fly right by. You know, the film is very well done. And visually speaking, it's very good. But that's only because the acting really carried the day. With that said, it's time to move on to other films. And with the first film out of the way, I could simply say, well, I look forward to more films. Okay, yeah, I have seen another film. The last Jerry Bruckheimer film, which by the way I'm giving a C. You know, Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, they're relatively good, but it's a Jerry Bruckheimer film. There, you got 2 reviews. I hope you enjoy your night.